Welcome aboard, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. It's a brand new week here on App Because We Win. It's Monday, the 25th of August. It's a bank holiday over here in the UK. You're with Steve Wyss and making his debut on the weekday on Betting Weekly Live. Paul Hughes, Paul the Hitman Hughes. First time me and you working together, Paul, live on air. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well.
I am. It's a good day as well. We got a few decent matches tonight, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very exciting. The headline game, of course, is Newcastle United, who Paul supports, against Liverpool. Proper Monday night football game over here in the UK. There's action in La Liga. We've got Serie A as well, Inter playing. And if we have time later on, I will touch on some of the Scandinavian leagues. But welcome in to all. How was your weekend? Were you up? Were you down at the weekend? Let us know. Let us know what your best bets are today as well across the board. Michael Munch, welcome in. Rick Haley had a great day betting on Saturday in the pits on Sunday. That's the way it is sometimes. Byron says he had a good weekend. Man United draw double chance of Juve moneyline parlay. Ming Chung, good day to you. Villa fan 20. What's going on with Villa? I think that's a question I'm going to ask the whole of chat and Paul at some point, because Villa have probably been the team that a lot more was expected of so far. They haven't even scored a single goal yet, losing to Brentford 1-0. Ian Messina, good to see you. Brello Charles as well, and ZT. For me, it was a bittersweet weekend. I absolutely crushed the Bundesliga. I had some other good winners, but then certain games I was really strong on, Paul, just let me down. One of the unders in France. Yeah, Nice was there. I was really strong on that. And I was just well beaten, really. Not much else you can say. Premier League, I won on the Arsenal game, but I think it's been a tough division so far. Paul, how was your Premier League sort of predictions and betting been so far to start the season?
I mean, the touching on Villa, we were talking about it and you just said it there. We were looking at it on the Saturday show, and we looked at the bench, and Nigel was like, would you know any of these players if they walk past you on the street? And the people were saying no. It's like they have a depth issue. Obviously, they played Newcastle first game of the season. It's not an easy fixture. So got a red card as well. They weren't playing great up until that point, but everyone's like, oh, they're playing Brentford next, probably going to be relegated, looking to get 3 points. Yeah, but they didn't look much better. They struggled again. I think Rodgers, a few people were upset at him on the weekend. He's their main player, and obviously Ollie Watkins hasn't. I don't think Villa haven't scored a goal yet in the Premier League, so it's been a tough start for them. The betting wise, I know it's been up and downs, isn't it? With City destroying and then getting beat off Tottenham, and I don't know. It's been a tough one, as we've seen. Jack and Nigel had a few winners here and there, and I don't know. I think everyone's kind of on the same page. That's been a bit of a shocking start of the Premier League.
Yeah, I'm down, I think, myself on the Premier League. Yeah. But week 2 was better than me from week 1. Like I said, the Leeds Arsenal game that served me well in quite a few directions. Villa let me down again, second week running. Week 1, that Forest game, I really was heavy on the unders for that game week 1, and it let me down. Just looking at some of the comments in the chat here. Villa fan, obviously we just talked about the bench there. And, that's got to be a concern for Aston Villa fans, for Aston Villa bettors. Let's see what happens in the last week or so of the transfer window. But maybe they're not quite as strong as we thought. But Emery, I've still got a lot of faith in him to turn that ship around again. They've still got 1 point on the board after 2 games. It's not disastrous.
That's a ridiculous stat there. More red cards than goals scored in the last 3 matches heading into the season for Villa. I mean, it's not great. I think Unai Emery, as you said, he is one of the best managers in the league. I think they're going to turn it around, but yeah, slow start for them.
And ZT's right. The James's bet on the betting weekly extra time this week on Rennes. Draw no bet. That was over after 12 minutes. They were down 9 men after 12 minutes. Ridiculous. Not much you can do about that. Brello Charles, I'm glad you got a piece of Cologne, the Billy Goats to beat Mainz. Bundesliga served me very well. That's for sure. And Byron says Hertha Berlin, Cologne auto underplays this season. And Cologne have been an underplay for like the last 5 years. Byron, they're just certain teams that just always seem to play the same way. Foxy, good to see you. Some notable winners of the weekend. Biggest sportsbook wager, $45,000, and Sky Nicholson in the boxing money line at -1,000. That was a good winner. And the soccer front, the biggest bet, Real Madrid against Real Oviedo, over 9.5 Real Madrid corners. That lost nearly $30,000 play on that one. Biggest Premier League bet was a winner, Bournemouth Wolves, over 6.5 first half corners. And the biggest prop play was on Antoine Semenyo to score any time, +128. Bournemouth match against Wolves. He had a lot of chances. He hit the crossbar from yards, didn't he? So that's a very unlucky wager there. A notable winner in the golf. This was fair play to this winner. 125 to 1. Just $10 was placed on it, but it was this particular bettor got the straight forecast correct. Tommy Fleetwood to finish first, Russell Henley second, or joint second in the Tour Championship Golf. 125 to 1. Big congratulations there. The Betting Weekly newsletter. Paul, you are the editor of the newsletters that go out Monday and Friday. I don't think this one's straight in your inbox just yet today, so you can still sign up if you haven't already. It's totally free. Tell everyone why they need to sign up to the newsletters, Paul.
The newsletters, so you'll get a couple of picks. I think 3 picks on a Monday for the midweek action, and then on Friday, that's the insight. That's our main piece. It's like everything you could possibly need for whatever's coming up. So this week it will be NFL for the NFL season starting next week. So you'll have everything covered from all the futures markets and the teams over-unders, and then you'll also have a bunch of Premier League bets on every single Premier League fixture. You'll have Steve's picks on the Bundesliga, and you'll have James's pick in the French league. There's all sorts in there. So it's literally action packed every week. So the Friday's the big one. So make sure you're subscribing up now and getting that for Friday.
2 out of 2 I hit on my insider picks over the weekend. Yeah. But I was 0-2 on Betting Weekly Extra Time so far. So it's give and take, isn't it? I did enjoy that winner on Friday night, though. The Leipzig by a decent winner there, over 4.5 goals I hit out. Okay, let's start on today's action. We're going to leave the Newcastle-Liverpool match for now because there's a couple of early kickoffs that I want to get out there before we go into that Premier League game. And we start in Serie A in Italy. Udinese against Hellas Verona. Udinese -115 on the money line. The tie +225 and Verona +340. Quite a low goal line here. You're looking at generally a Asian goal line of about 2.25 or 2. I can tell you now 88% of the money and 93% of the tickets are on Udinese on the money line, and 79% of the money on the over-under market is on the under. Biggest bet placed is on under 2.5 goals at -164. And I had a good look at this game. Hellas Verona are actually a side who I am quite worried about this season. They are one of the teams that I think definitely could go down. Certainly bottom 4 or 5. And this is an interesting one because Udinese, one of them teams that can be anything on the day, but they've had a really good pre-season. They've won every game. Not that that doesn't always mean everything, but I think it's still good for the confidence, for morale. They've won in the Italian Cup. Hellas Verona needed penalties to progress in that Italian Cup last week as a 1-3 favourite. So heading into the game, the trends are pointing towards Udinese and under, I would say. So a very slight lean for me on this game would be on the Udinese, just straight on the money line, thinking about the 1-0, 2-0 correct score possibility here. But they're not a team I do bet on that often. Last season, I was getting more involved in them when Florian Thauvin was in a great spell. He's now left the club. Yeah, Byron, I'm kind of with you there, Byron. Just not overthink it. Money line, there might be some out there looking to get the unders on side in addition to perhaps an Udinese win or even draw double chance. But that money line bet would be what I would go towards in this Serie A. Is that your sort of league, Paul? Do you follow it much?
Not as much as you would. You'd definitely be the person I'd listen to more on this. But I was having a look into everything, all the slate today, and it was hard to find something. I think Udinese is probably the most likely outcome. I mean, the -110. I was looking at the unders, but again, when the public loves over. So when most of the money's on the unders, I think that kind of speaks volumes about what's expected in this game. So yeah, probably the same as you, like 1 or 2-0 correct score. Udinese seems to be most likely outcome anyways.
Yeah, I think you could look towards those scorelines, or even Udinese to win to 0 actually, which is at plus 148 with Bet Rivers to win to 0. There hasn't been that many goals around in Serie A to start the season with, and I don't think this will be too much different. That would be my slight lead. Let's move into Spain then, and you've actually got to play in this game. I'm glad you do, because I find it's quite a difficult match in terms of the money line and over-under. Anyway, Athletic Bilbao are at home against Rayo Vallecano. Heading into last week, everyone was kind of a bit down on Bilbao. Had a terrible pre-season, some shocking performances, but they did beat Sevilla 3-2. It was a barnstorming game, 2-0 up, and then they were pegged back to 2-2, and then they won the game late. Rayo Vallecano had a great start at Verona with an easy win. Minus 162 on Athletic Club here, plus 450 on Rayo Vallecano. I think I want to see a bit more from both teams, to be honest, because I'm not sure. I think Bilbao just beating a Sevilla side who are going to be really open all season, and Rayo Vallecano have beaten a Girona who have been horrific to start the season. So I want to see what both teams are about here a bit more. But you do have a play on the game. Let us know what it is.
I think Bilbao, obviously, they had as you said, preseason doesn't count for much, but they had a terrible preseason. I don't think they even drew a game. I think they lost everyone, or maybe they won the opening one and then lost the rest. But Vallecano, Bilbao, they did not look great against Sevilla when I was watching, and their defense has been kind of shaky. Their home record, obviously, over the years has been like huge for them. And last season, I think they conceded the least home goals in La Liga, but that was start through the mid of the season. Now you're looking at what's happening recently. I think Vallecano to score, or just both teams to score here. I think they're kind of going off the past with Bilbao, just kind of giving them credit for how good they've been at home. But I think the tides are turning. I think Vallecano can easily grab a goal here. I think, again, Bilbao and over 1.5 goals. That's a decent play. I think could be a 2-1, a 3-1 kind of game. I think the overs, shocked to see it at plus money as well. But I think both teams to score is probably the best. I mean, Vallecano scored 10 scored in 10 of the last 11 across all comps, and all of the front three with a goal in the first game of the season, which is it's a nice one. All the attackers are in a bit of form. You got it's a good sign. And as we were looking at before the show, I think in 5 of the 5 last of the home games, over 2.5 goals is cashed in this fixture when Bilbao have been at home. So yeah, I think the goals at plus money, or both teams to score plus money as well, I think it's probably the way to go.
Yeah, there's a lot in chat agreeing with you here, Paul. Noah Goodman says it's very tempting about evens. Effie Brilovsky saying both teams score and over 2.5 goals. And I say both teams to score is actually plus 110 now with Bet Rivers. Rayo Vallecano just to score a goal is minus 136, which may well be a very backable price.
Yeah.
Whenever Rayo Vallecano involved, corners do interest me because of the way they play, which sometimes is an old-fashioned 4-4-2 system, actually. And I tell you what, Bet Rivers have dangled a really generous corner line here at 9.5, which for corners is a little bit on the low side. So I think I probably will have a bite of that, because Bilbao last week, I noticed they won the corner count 10-1 against Sevilla, actually. Yes, it could be something similar again, not quite so vast. Rayo, I think, will contribute with corners, just the way they play. They put a lot of crosses in. They tend to be the sort of team that always, they shoot a lot. They don't, from range as well, you can get deflections, sort of saves. They're not bothered. They're not like a Thomas Frank where they want like a really high XG chance. They shoot from range and fire at will, sort of thing. So I always am looking at the corner overs when they're involved. There's an interesting stat here from producer Troy. Rayo Vallecano have won each of its last 3 La Liga matches as an away underdog. So bear that in mind, perhaps. I spoke with Rory Barlow, actually, after last week's game against Girona. And he said, watch out for Vallecano, because they do start the season quite strong normally, get themselves safe, and then they're on the beach for the last month or so. That's the kind of the cycle of Rayo Vallecano. So they are known for sort of first half of the season being quite strong.
They were in European contention last year for a while as well, weren't they? Like at the start of the season, they started strong. Yeah, it's great, and the manager as well. He's had a lot of talk about going elsewhere, and I think he was meant to leave for Iriola's camp at the start of the campaign last year, and he ended up staying through the season. So
they might not be a bad shout to actually go deep in the conference.
That's why maybe them just the score's a bit good. Then, as you're saying, Rory Barlow's saying the start hot, and both teams to score. Maybe if you're not backing Bilbao, then you're just backing Vallecano, and if they're starting strong, maybe that's a bit safer than the both teams to score.
Yeah, so they were in Conference League action. I think they easily won, or had a comfortable win. I need to check that one up actually.
I think it was 1-0.
Yeah, they are one of the teams that are in contention for that Conference League. I mean, I have Crystal Palace and Strasbourg as my two favourites, but both might. Palace, I think, will be fine, but Strasbourg only drew 0-0 against Brøndby. 1-0 win against a Belarusian team, Neman, as they're about a 1-3 favourite, but away from home, you're not going to turn that down, are you?
Yeah.
In that particular instance, 10 corners in that match, by the way, for Rayo Vallecano, and 3 for the opposition. Let's see how it goes. This match, 94% of the money on Athletic Bilbao, and 90% of the money on the over/under market is on the over. And that's the biggest bet on the game so far on the sportsbook. Over 2.5 goals plus 130. Okay, let's get to the main course for today, the big game on the card. And this is a proper match. I mean, sometimes the Monday night footballs over here in the UK can be a little bit average, but this is a serious contest. Newcastle United against Liverpool. You can get Newcastle here at plus 210 on the money line. Liverpool plus 112. They have drifted a little bit from where it was a few days ago, but not by much. It's been quite a steady market, really. Plus 280 on the tie for this game. Over 2.5 goals I think that's over 3.5 actually. Over 2.5. Yeah, the over 2.5 goals line is minus 195. Over 3.5 is at plus 132. Both teams score, yes, at minus 220. Yeah, I nearly spat my whatever I had in my mouth out there. I was thinking we could get on them, but right. Let's set the scene here. You're a Newcastle fan. I mean, first of all, I think last week, I thought you played well last week. Better than a lot of people expected. Everyone's
better than I expected.
Yeah. Newcastle were a negative going into the season, weren't they? Not just maybe in terms of a squad, but the Alexander Isak situation. This is a big thing. Isak wants to leave the club. Liverpool want to sign him. How is that affecting the mood and morale? What is it like in the city, Paul, at the moment? Is it galvanizing the team even and the fans?
Everyone's a bit apparently in the squad. Apparently, it's a bit split. I was reading that some people are saying like on the side of Isak, and some people are saying like, well, whatever's going on, they're not on they don't understand what he's doing. But the fans are all pretty united in thinking they don't want him here, or at least keep him here and don't let him play and just keep him as on the reserves or whatever else. I think that ship sailed for a return, even if he does stay. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, Isak being missing is obviously a big loss. He's arguably obviously we've got Haaland in the league, so maybe not the best striker in the league, but if not one of the best strikers in the league, if not the world. Again, that's why Liverpool wanted to sign him for like 130 million, I think the first offer was. So it's ridiculous money. But I don't know. I think we did the vibe was pretty poor because I think it was because all of the names that rejected us. When you thought like the Cunha and the Mbuemo, they were kind of in talks and then went to Man United, and then a couple of others off the top of my head. But when you look at our window objectively, we've got a new centre back in Maurizio from Milan. We've got Anthony Elanga, who's been great. We've got Ramsdale, who as a keeper we needed a new keeper. I think there was more negativity because of we missed out on Sesko. We missed out. All of the people we missed out on went to United, by the way. We missed out on this, that, and the other. But objectively, I think we've had a decent window if you're not looking at the players we missed and the players we've actually brought in. So I think maybe that was a bit why people were underestimating us, as you said. But yeah, I think we could have the momentum going and do some better things now.
If Alexander Isak was playing regularly, he wasn't leaving the club and all that, what odds do you think Newcastle would be tonight? Do you think? I mean, for me, they would be probably around. It'd be more like a pick'em game.
Yeah.
Probably plus 150 or something.
I was about to say plus 160-ish seems about fair. I mean, if that's the case, what price would he be to score? Just in theory, just like plus one.
Plus 130. Yeah, I think against Liverpool he'd probably be about plus 125. But I've got a question here for you, Paul. How much of a downgrade at the moment is Anthony Gordon playing centre forward compared to Alexander Isak? Because Gordon is you actually let's actually go with the first bet of yours here, because Anthony Gordon is part of it. But we know how good he is on the left hand side, cutting inside.
Yeah,
he's going to be playing up front today. He had chances last week against Villa. He didn't take them. But is he really that bad a finisher? Or it could be he maybe like a horse. He comes on for the run. He's had 90 minutes or however minutes he got last week, getting used to the role. You're gonna back him tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, I think him to score assist is plus 138 with Barrow. I think that's a pretty good price. I mean, his first game up front, playing in that role, he had 7 shots and 1 big chance missed in just 90 minutes. That's a lot even for like a star striker. They're not getting 7 shots very often. I would like to see the line for a lot of striker shots. Nowhere near that. But as a finisher, you can't be a poor finisher and be getting double-digit goals in the Premier League. He's had 11 goals in the Premier League from out left, where he's getting less chances than obviously he would now. He's obviously now being up front. He's getting 7 shots in a game. He's getting more chances. He's also just why I took score and assist over just the goal is he's also had double-digit assists in the Premier League. I think he's one of only about 4 players not the season last, the prior. He had double-digit goals and assists, and he had double-digit yellows as well. It's a real triple-double. I think you're muted there, Steve. But yeah, he's our main man at the moment. He's going to be up front, and I think against Liverpool, everyone knows publicly that that's the dream club he wants to play for. The last time he played against Liverpool, the last 2 times he's played for Liverpool when we've been at home, he scored in both games. I think it's kind of him. Is that him saying, "Oh, like look what you're missing out on. Look what I can do." I don't know if it's much, but it's definitely something to look into. Obviously, Liverpool have been interested in the past in Gordon, and they haven't ended up getting him. And again, his dream move would to be at Liverpool. He said it prior, so I think it adds a little bit of motivation, and he likes performing against them and at St James's Park. This stadium's going to be rocking, by the way. Like the Isak saga with Liverpool, this is going to be a feisty game, to say the least.
Yeah, there's an interesting stat here from producer Troy, and this you're going to enjoy this one, having been on that Anthony Gordon bet. Gordon has scored a goal in 6 of Newcastle's last 7 Premier League matches as a home underdog. So it's like he thrives in these sort of matches where, when Newcastle aren't the favourite. The last time the 2 teams met, of course, was in the cup final. Let's be honest, Eddie Howe schooled Arne Slot, didn't he?
Oh yeah,
did a proper job on Liverpool in that final. Obviously, he's had a big part to play in the game, but Newcastle were really dominant for me in that final. It was weird because you met 3 times last year against each other. You had the 3-3 draw, the cup final, and then the match at Anfield in the Premier League, which was a bit of a damp squib, really. I think 1-0 for Liverpool. Newcastle didn't offer much, so it was really a bit of everything. What sort of game are we going to get today? I mean, you've got a pick on we talked about the newsletter, the insider pick. You've got under 3 Asian goals. We've got a goal line here at I think it stayed pretty consistent around the 3 mark, actually. Asian 3 under is -104. And I agree with you. If I had to go over under, I would go under on the game as well. There's a few people in chat saying it might be tight and stuff like that. Are we going to see a case of Eddie Howe kind of focusing more on defense here, do you think?
When using that the 3 different results, I think if there's any result to throw out, obviously it's going to seem biased as I'm saying a Newcastle fan, but it would be the match at Anfield. After the cup final, we played them a week before the cup final, and Eddie Howe said after the game that he left things out of the game plan he would normally use in a match like that because he wanted to keep it for the final. So obviously, as you said, he schooled them in that final kind of tactically. So them things he kept out obviously would play a big role in that game. I'm not saying that obviously Liverpool probably would have beat us regardless at Anfield. Great crowd and the better team anyways. But defensively, I just think it's just going to be it's going to be quite cagey. Maybe like the struggle I see is the midfield of Liverpool against our midfield. They're very attacking minded and we're very going to bully you off the pitch. And is that a recipe for success for them? Maybe it is, but also could be for us where, when Wirtz is on the ball, Joe Linton going shoulder to shoulder and throwing him across the pitch, and Tonali coming picking up the ball deep and Bruno doing the same. I think there's a few chances for us to run over them in the midfield game, which again, if that's the case, I don't think going forward we're going to offer too much either. I think obviously if it's going to come from anyone, it's probably going to come from Anthony Gordon. But again, we saw against Villa, we were against 10 men and we just couldn't put the ball in the net. And the stadiums be rocking, the fans will be behind the players. We've seen it's a hard place to go over the years, but I think it's probably going to be cagey, a cagey affair. And we look good defensively as well. Villa created absolutely nothing against us, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a similar result as we did at Villa, maybe like a 1 or 2-0 either way or 1-1 draw. But yeah, I think the under is definitely the way to go if you're back in the over under in this one.
Yeah, just looking at some of the comments, Blinker God said money line on Liverpool drifted to plus 115 from plus 100 on his particular book. And my cat comes in to get involved. Paul, it's like a zoo here sometimes. She's getting in the way of my camp. There's been a lot of talk about cards. Now, we don't advise card bets now on this channel because not every state you can bet on the card, so it's not fair on people. But this is one match where I think we have to talk about the referee. In terms of how sort of potentially much of a bloodbath the game might be. And we've got a lot of people here suggesting cards, suggesting fouls, individual players to be carded and stuff like that. You got something to say about the fouls market. The referee is Craig Pawson for this game, I do believe. I think it's Craig Pawson. Oh, no, that was last week. Sorry. Simon Hooper, yeah. So... Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of suggestions saying this could be because of the situation with the Isaac thing and the history of the two clubs as well, in fairness, that it could be really feisty. Are we going to get that sort of stop-start thing, do you think? And talk us about the fouls market back that you like.
When you look at Simon Hooper, obviously I think he's a big reason for this, but he gives a lot of fouls in his matches, but he's a bit hesitant to pull the cards out, which I was noticing. So again, if he's, I think everyone's expecting this to be a bit of a feisty match, as we've seen in the chat. Everyone's saying this person to be booked over cards. He's going to be aware of that as well. So you don't want to be pulling out the cards in the first 2 minutes of a game because everything's going to kick off. So maybe it's like when a derby happens and there's a few fouls, you just have to let them go. A few fouls that are going to be yellows, you just have to let them go. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I think over 26.5 fouls. I think it was about minus 130-ish last I looked. I think that's probably the way to go. As I said, he's a bit foul happy giving them out, but when it comes to cards, I think he's a bit hesitant unless it's like for time wasting at the end-ish. So yeah, I think on the fouls market, the overs, it's definitely something that's been slightly adjusted, but I don't think it has been fully because I think they're expecting the cards, and if cards come out, it gets a bit less flary because no one wants to get booked. But yeah, I think the over fouls is a really good bet in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Hooper gave 29 fouls last week against it was Man United Arsenal, and I think Jack Wright once described him as a referee who, you're right, he doesn't like to actually dish cards, but he can then sometimes lose control of games. And I think if you're betting on the game, you've got to think about this from a referee perspective. It could be stop-start, which means that for me always helps unders rather because the flow of the game can just go. Yeah. And not enough time is ever really added on for these sort of things. So it is definitely something to consider. Maserati Fox says Hugo Ekitike to score. He did look really good last week, I must say. Newcastle should never have sold Chris Wood, says Lee. I mean, with Ekitike, I mean, I looked at him last week and I was like, why do they even need Isaac?
That's what I said. If they let us get Ekitike like we wanted, they would have Isak by now. And then instead they want both. It's just like, how are they all going to fit in this team? And I think we haven't seen them come back in for a bid because they're kind of like, what if Ekitike is just better than Isak and we don't need him? Obviously,
I just think they want to hoard players. I think it's a case of they didn't want Ekitike to go anywhere else. They don't want any other club to get Isak. They want to. It's almost like, I mean, Chelsea had this at one point several years ago. They're hoarding youngsters, and I feel like it's one of those with Liverpool. They don't want to miss out on. They obviously rate both incredibly highly, So they want them both. But Ekitike did look really good last week, must be said. Menendez says Ekitike can play left wing. I just see him more as a number 9, really.
Isak drifts off to the left as well, so it's going to create a bit of a gap there because if his dribbling work is coming off the left, like you remember that clip against Everton where he's just dribbling in past everyone. It's a bit iconic, but yeah, he does a lot of his best work off the left as well when he's up front. He drifts there, so maybe that'll be a bit of clash as well.
89% of the money is on Liverpool. 85% of the tickets are on the Reds as well. 82% of the over-under money is on the over. No real surprises there, and the most notable wagers on the game are on Liverpool money line. Not on the verge of there's 3 separate bets here, $2,000 each so far, and there'll be loads more action as the game comes in, closer towards kickoff. I'd say what I do like here, Paul, and I like you guys. I like the draw no bet on Newcastle. I think they can plus 125. I don't think Liverpool win this tonight. I think this is a really tough game for the Reds. Fully respect what they've got, and their offense is incredible. The depth they've got is they can outscore anyone if they need to. But we saw in that cup final that there's a way to stifle this Liverpool team under Arne Slot, and I just wonder if Eddie Howe has maybe unlocked that. So plus 125 on Newcastle tie no bet. That would be my lean for the game, personally. Talking player props here, you've got a shot bet for us.
Yeah, big Dan Burn to get on the end of a corner. So Dan Burn have a shot at plus 150. We had not seen much of Dan Burn in the year, like up until the point of the cup final. He had been very someone where on cross you think, oh, he's like 6'7". He's like, surely he's going to be getting on the end of them, but he just didn't. Like, he was pretty poor in the year all in all. But I think we've adjusted, and he's adjusted his movements a lot better, getting in position for these corners. And we saw it. He scored in the cup final, obviously. I think he had a few headers for England, close chances when he got called up. And at the back end of the last season, including the cup final and after, he had shots in 10 of his last 11 matches. And I think the corners line for Newcastle personally was over 4.5 at about minus 150. And if you're expecting us to get five or more corners in this match, do you not think the big 6'7" centre half that everyone's going to be targeting on every single cross might get his head on one of them? I think, again, 10 shots in his last 11 games. I think it's a decent price on Dan Burn to get a header here.
Yeah, no, we know that Newcastle are going to be looking for him.
Yeah,
it's hard to defend someone like that, isn't it? It's a simple. He's probably going to get his head to the ball first, even if it goes in row, whatever you want to call it. It can just be any attempt here for Burn at plus 150, Paul. So, yeah, why not? He had a great cup final. He's going to be fired up, isn't he? A lot of people are going to be fired up here.
Exactly.
RHM says Virgil to score off a corner.
He looked good in the first game.
Yeah, he could well be one looking there. We're going to talk about the Sevilla game too. RHM, Brad Betts Footy, welcome in. Good to see you. Newcastle scored in all three out of 4 versus Liverpool, but Isak was involved. And he added stat about Liverpool team total as well, over 1.5, 27 of their last 32 league games. That's an interesting one.
Wow.
Their offense is incredible, I must say. Look, if this is a bonkers shootout again, I think we can comfortably back Liverpool overs blind near every week. But this is a good test because I think Newcastle can defend, and I don't think Eddie Howe is going to want to shoot out particularly.
No.
So I'm intrigued how this one goes. Do check out the Premier League show still with Nigel, Jack, Dan, because Jack does have a hot dog pick in the game. It is on a player. I'm not going to reveal which player it is. You have to watch it yourself if you've not already. But they do a really good breakdown of the game if you want to hear some more thoughts on the Premier League show, which has been brilliant this week. So thanks so much for all your comments on it, as well as the Betting Weekly extra time. Let's move on. And Serie A, Inter against Torino. This is a match that I've got an official pick in as well on Betting Weekly extra time. And I will actually reveal it now, because I don't think it's any surprise to people who know what I have been doing with the Inter manager Christian Kiva ever since he was in charge at Parma. I think this manager's just bet on the unders blind every week, and I think you'll make a profit I really do. Kivu is just very defensive. We saw them in the Club World Cup, actually, Paul. All 4 of their games went under 2.5 goals, and it was no surprise to me. And I think this match has all the makings of a pretty low-scoring affair. Minus 295 on the money line Inter, which I don't think it's particularly attractive just as a money line play, because Torino are very capable of keeping things tight. Last season they did finish the season with a lot of unders, actually under 2.5 hit in each of Torino's last 10 Serie A matches. But there's a change of manager now this season, so that could potentially change. But the Italian Cup match last week didn't really dispel anything from Torino. 1-0 win against lower league Modena. There was less than 1 expected goal in the whole game. So in that case, over 2.5 goals at minus 157 doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I think the under 2.75 line is the way to go. Minus 106 Rivers. This line stayed pretty stable throughout the whole week, but the only way you're losing this is if there's 4 goals or more scored. You get half
Seems
loss
unlikely,
on.
yeah.
Well, it just does seem unlikely, and even if this does go over that line, I will still be looking at Inter unders for quite some time. I just think it's the way Kiva operates as a result manager. I just feel like there'll be clamorings this season from fans or media or whatever saying he needs to get more out of the offense. I can just see it now, where the results are maybe not that bad, but they need more goals at times. And there might be, let's say, a couple of 0-0 draws in there, and the criticism will be they need more goals. So that is, for me, it's an under game. You're kind of, it's sort of a similar angle, Paul, but you do want to get Inter on side.
Yeah, I was just looking at this Inter team and the Torino team, and when I was looking at the first thing, I thought, okay, well, I looked at the underline, I was like, oh, it's a bit juiced at under. I think it was like minus. What was the under?
Under 2.75 goals at minus 106.
Yeah, I think the under, because I could see in there. I think they just have a lot of attacking quality. Like they do have a bit of quality. Like when Dumfries gets forward and Martinez, when he's on it, he can bag a few. But I think Inter win to nils plus money. I think it's a pretty fair bet. It was the same. I think, and I think I had it at Juventus yesterday when they did that. But no, the under's definitely the player. But I think Inter's going to win this. In the last 6 matches against Torino, they've won 5 of them to 0. So that's obviously a good one. They are missing Çalhanoğlu in the midfield for yellow cards, so we'll get Sukic starting, which he looked decent during the Club World Cup and in the pre-season. And then my concern for Torino is, although they can score, they've got quite a few new attackers. I think Abubakar, Simeone, and Ngongi. How long does it take for a front three to gel with these new players coming in? I'm not too sure. In their defense, they've got Bastoni, Acerbi, they've got these established top-level defenders in the league. So I think Inter win to 0 plus money. It's probably the side I want to be on.
Yeah, Inter win to 0. You do get that 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 covered as well. I mean, look at Arsenal at the weekend. Things can sometimes go out of hand. Tobias Defler's playing law of averages here. 7 out of 8 unders already in Serie A. So he's thinking there must be goals in Serie A today. I just think the other way, that when you see a league starting off so low scoring, then the trend's probably going to continue for a while. Teams just rusty, coming out of the blocks slow. That's the way I see it. Anyway, 98% of the money is on into 97% of the tickets. On the over-under market, it's split at 51%, which that is probably an inclination that under is more favourable, really, because normally over money is at least 70% in most games. The 3% of the tickets on Torino. Let us know if you're on that. If you're on Torino here, I'll tell you one man who did give Torino out as a lean on the extra time show was James Easton. He likes Torino plus 1.25. You can actually get Torino plus 1.5 at minus 124 now. So those were James. You can actually watch obviously the extra time show as well. I'll put the link in before the show's done. But I think 1-0, 2-0 is very, very likely for Inter Milan in this game. They will do enough to win. And get the result that they need. The final game on the card from the mainstream leagues is in Serie A. In La Liga. We've had a few comments about this one already. Sevilla against Getafe, and Sevilla are the favourites at plus 108. Ties plus 215 now, and Getafe are plus 285 now. Over 2.5 goals, he's at plus 160. Wow. Now, I think this goal line might look really low at the end of the game. You've got an over 2 Asian goal line at minus 112. Now, with Getafe, we know what we're going to get. Nothing changes with them. They are boring. They are defensive. They have big foul merchants. They want to suck the life out of games. Tend to get involved in a lot of unders. And last week, 2-0 against Celta Vigo, great win. To actually restrict Celta Vigo to no goals was a good effort. But Sevilla, I think, are a potential. Well, they're a great watch this season. They've got a manager called Matias Almeida, former AK Athens and San Jose Earthquakes manager, who's known for really being happy getting involved in shootouts. And last week's proved it. 3-2 loss at Bilbao. They were 2-0 down. They looked out of the game. They came back to 2-2, and then they had a brave defeat in the end, 3-2. We're going to get a lot of that from Sevilla this season, where they are not in control of the game. But when it looks like they're out of a match, they can get back in one. Almeida's a very positive, proactive coach, and anything can happen with him. So for me, it's got to be worth nibbling on the over goal line here. Over 2 Asian, even over 3.5 goals, actually, for a bit of pizza money. I think you can get silly odds on it, just in case it goes berserk. It's a shame that they're not facing a team who are more attack-minded, really. But over 3.5 goals is plus 440. I mean, I'm definitely having a nibble at that as well, because it could look huge come the end of the game. You've not got anything for this match, Paul, have you?
No, I was looking at it. It was kind of the same thing. I watched the Bilbao Sevilla match, the opener, and as you said, if Sevilla play the way they did against Bilbao, it's probably going to be a bit of an open game, isn't it? So that goal line could definitely look short. Like I can see what some people are saying, where it could be like a 1-1 at max, and then also like a random just 4-1 win for Sevilla or something. Just something. I think something crazy could happen, or it could be generally a pretty boring game. I think it's going to be it's a very, what's it called, like a polar game. You'll never see the under look very comfortable. I'll see the over and go, wow, that was a stupid price, wasn't it?
Someone has put in the chat, here we go. I'm trying to find it now. Someone had A. Well, the mysterious A. He says he wouldn't be surprised if Torino hold out for a draw at into a few shocks in the weekend with Serie A, and he likes Getafe draw double chance. Now, I kind of agree with him, because it's a sort of game where Sevilla may well find a way to lose it, if you know what I mean. I can see them dominating the game, having quite a lot of chances, and finding a way to basically mess up the match. So I would go on, if I had to go on a money line, I would nibble Getafe or draw double chance. But I'm really intrigued to see how the Sevilla outfit gets on. I think it could be a more open game than most expect. There is 79% of the money on the over, which I'm a little bit surprised by that, actually. Wow. Because of Getafe's record and reputation is for under. And the annoying thing about Getafe, they foul so much, Paul. I mentioned the fouls earlier on in the Newcastle game. Yeah. They foul so much, they don't let the rhythm of the game go. The flow just isn't there. And any like promising counter-attack sort of thing, they just nip it in the bud straight away. They're the sort of team that rack up comfortably 6 cards a game or whatever. They don't care. They'll rack them up. So that is the frustrating thing about Getafe. Punter. Yeah, the Rennes game, I mean, what can you do? When a team goes down to 9 men after 12 minutes, it's impossible, isn't it? They've had 3 red cards now in 2 games of Rennes to start the season. Discipline does seem a bit of a concern about that. Ian Messina asked me, is there anything on Mjallby? I do have, you know what, I don't actually have a strong play in any of the Scandinavian matches today. The Norwegian game, there's a change of manager there for Sarpsborg. Both teams in horrific form, by the way. Change of manager for Sarpsborg. If they hadn't changed the manager, I think I might have opposed them, but minus 190. Let's wait and find out what the interim coach gets on there. So I'm always sort of on alert when a new manager comes in, Paul, if I don't know much about him. So I've got to say no bet. GAIS Mjallby. Now, there's a real fairy tale going on in Sweden this year. Mjallby, I mean, this is like a Leicester City story. They're basically a fishing village with about 500 to 1,000 inhabitants, and they could win the league. If they win this, they go 8 points clear. And they got a tough game away to GAIS, who are from Gothenburg. The top scorer in the league, though, is suspended for GAIS, Diabate. So that's a major boost for Mjallby. I don't think there's many goals around either of the Swedish games today. Osters are on a run, I think, of 7 straight under 2.5 goals. That's a battle towards the bottom of the table. Could be a nervous clash A bit of a polar game as well, Paul. Overs versus unders, actually. Norrköping are more of an over team. So I haven't got a strong play in any of the Scandinavian games today. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be looking at goals in the Swedish games. I've been leaning more under than over. And the Norway game could be absolutely anything. So it's one of those where I've just got to say no real bet of significance. Sometimes the no bet is the best bet. Right, Paul?
Absolutely. I'd probably be better. You'd be better off not betting the first 2 weeks of the Premier League, I tell you.
Well, you know, Nigel sometimes says it on the Premier League show. He knows people who only get involved serious money, you know, start of November, end of October. And everyone has different strategies on that sort of thing. There's a house special, which I forgot to mention. This is in the Newcastle game from Bet Rivers. Liverpool to score 3 or more goals at plus 230. For me, that would be a no. But for those out there who are really supportive of Liverpool and rate their offense, then get involved. If you like Liverpool to score 3 or more, plus 230, and Bet Rivers to, you know, they're dangling that carrot. But would you go down that direction?
As you mentioned though, like if they do it against Newcastle, then that price is going to be a lot shorter against everyone for the rest of the season. So maybe this is the best price you're going to get on Liverpool to do that. So it could look genius in hindsight, but it wouldn't be for me.
Just looking here. The fouls line is 43.5 in this. That can't be 43.5. I need to look at that before we go, because that is absurd. 43.
Nearly one every other
minute.
It
is. It is as well. It is. 42.5 now, actually. You can get 41.5. This is incredible.
That's insane.
I don't think I've ever seen a fouls line that high. 43. That is incredible. That just shows you what Getafe are like. Because the Getafe foul line themselves, I mean, you suggested the over 26.5 match fouls in Newcastle, right? 22.5 is, 23.5 fouls line for Getafe all on their own. That is the problem with their games, and that is why so many of them go under, because there's not enough football being played on the actual field. But 43.
That's insanity.
Good Lord, that's a foul every 2 minutes.
Every other minute, yeah.
Oh, my God. Anyway, Medicated, welcome in to see. He says Barella over 0.5 shots on target in Inter, and Inter to score over 1 goal plus 140, and he's adding in over 0.5 shots on target from Luca Bacchio in the Sevilla game, scored last week at Bilbao plus 222. Medicated, thanks for that one. And Rayber, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I know West Ham have not been particularly great for you so far this season. Are you a Potter in or Potter out, man? Okay, well, that is it then, Paul. We're through today. It's been a great show. What is going to be our best bet today across the card?
Oh, I think the fouls line in the Newcastle match. I think, as we said, it's going to be a feisty one. He likes to start the play a bit and not give out the card. So I think that we'll see the fouls rack up. And yeah, I'll go the over 26.5 fouls in the Newcastle-Liverpool game.
I think my best bet is going to be in that game, Sevilla, Getafe over 2 Asian goals. It was a lean I gave out, a strong lean on the Betting Weekly Extra Time show. And I just hope that there's enough football being played. And the fouls.
I thought you were going to say the foul line. That's your best bet.
No, I couldn't ever bet over 35.5 fouls, Paul, in a match, because that's extreme, to say the least. That's incredible. But it does just show you what is expected on the field from that matter. Anyway, loads of content still come on the channel today. Betting Weekly Tennis Live with Mitch and Dustin in about an hour and 10 minutes time. US Open in full flow at Flushing Meadows. Loads of content from the handicapping team, Sean Calvert, Nigel, Rory Giovanni as well. Betting Weekly Hardball comes later today. Doug and Albert are on the show. And then the Fast Break show, Sarah and Doug are going to be on that one later. So the action never stops on that because we win. Remember to sign up to the newsletter, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, and give us a like as well. Paul, that was a very enjoyable show. Thanks so much for your time and thoughts on all the games today.
Thank you very much. Hopefully it's got some bets there, huh?
Yeah, best of luck, everyone. Remember to gamble responsibly. Take care. I'll be back. I'll see you on Wednesday, actually, with Nigel. Tomorrow, you've got Dan Roebuck with Will White. going to be looking at Champions League action and more. But take care, y'all. See you next time.